Hello, everybody. Jeff Gibby here. I hope everybody's having a fantastic December. Want to thank you for joining us. We've got Ann-Marie here today, and her audio sounds great. She's a great speaker. I love kind of what Ann-Marie has to say. And I don't say this a lot about a lot of people, but I think Ann-Marie is a better public speaker than even myself. So in any case, she's got a lot of interesting things to say, and we're going to go ahead and kick it off. So as a reminder, today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading, and MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software or anything associated with the event tonight. That was pretty good from doing it from memory. I've only done it a couple hundred times. In any case, so today we've got Ann-Marie with us again. She did a really good job the last time. We did a little bit of a boot camp with her, and this time we're going to be able to hear her really well. I can hear her great, and again, a great presenter. One of our most popular people on YouTube. So very exciting to have you with us today, Ann-Marie. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to you, and I'll let you know when we can see your screen, and then I'll get out of the way, which is exactly, something I'm good at. I can see your screen great.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeff, and welcome everyone for being here. It's the end of a day, and I know everybody has to sort of schedule things around to make time for this, so it's really, really great that you're here. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. I want you to be able to leave with a really good understanding of why I love the Stochastic Momentum Index, how you can actually use it, and then what we've done with it here at MetaStock to create a very beautiful program event that allows us to strategize our trades and see specific triggers that let us get in and get out. So what I'm doing in MetaStock is looking at a split screen environment, and we can do split screens like this where they're columns, or this when they're sideways. And we're going to look at something as straightforward as SPY. Right now, I'm a futures trader, but this mechanic that we have here for target-rich trades works in any platform, in any stock platform, any ETF platform, any future space, and it also works in Forex. So what we have a tendency to do very often when we see indicators that tell us, hey, listen, this is a buy zone or this is a sell zone, we have a tendency to not look at the big picture. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is no matter what system you use, you're going to be more effective if you work with something looking at an entire chart. All right. And so if we just start looking at the SPY here on the daily chart, what we're going to see is that really we've been fairly sideways. We have support areas and resistance areas, and we've been moving back and forth over quite a bit of time. So what the system does is take the motion of the stochastic, and then it matches it with relative price action for support and resistance, and then tells you where you have to take profit if you'd like for things to be the best that they can be in the space. So for instance, what we would look at down here is a general support action. Support actions look like this green diamond. And so what we can do with our MetaStock platform is just move a support zone. So now here's something that I want to share with you just as a technician of analysis. One of the toughest things that I see that traders have a hard time with, and I have been teaching traders how to read charts for a really long time, what I notice is that they don't have a very good idea of how support and resistance are supposed to behave over a long period of time if things are moving upward, or a long period of time if things are moving downward, or what they do when things are moving sideways. And so we always have a tendency to think, hey, listen, our chart needs to be in motion. And many times, really, because it's sort of the paradigm that we're all taught from, we're taught, hey, when a chart breaks out of old resistance, it becomes a buy zone. But I know if I put a quiz in here right now inside of GoToWebinar and I said, hey, listen, how many of us have taken trades on a breakout and they've collapsed and we've been stopped out? Or how many of us have taken shorts on a breakdown and it's bounced? That's going to be a lot of us, because really, in the grand scheme of things, we can't really do a very good job of always getting the breakouts and following them down, because 70% of the time the market is not trending. 70% of the time the market is moving in a sideways motion and a range of behavior in general. Every once in a while, that's the other 30%, a chart will expand and run through a space. Now, if we take a look at the whole year, we can back up just a little bit, we'll see that this year we had a really, excuse me, let's zoom out. This year we had some really pretty motion through this pocket, but notice we dropped right into the areas that we sat in January all the way through July. So really, in January through July, we moved in this overall sideways pocket. We could never break out of resistance, but we kept holding higher support. And then we trended for a bit, and now we've collapsed right back into the range. So showing this to you lets you really get comfortable with the fact that really what I am saying is generally true, although our mind has a tendency to go, no way. But really, it is true. Now, some charts are absolutely monstrous and they run very hard to the upside or very hard to the downside, but eventually they flatten or plateau, and we're able to work from that perspective, looking at things from a sideways patch. So the first thing we have to realize is that much of the time we're caught between ranges, and those ranges present beautiful areas for us to buy and sell, as long as we have a space where we go, you know what, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to take it the last place that I saw people selling it. This is also very counterintuitive to investing in general, because we think about investing and we go, okay, I'm going to buy and hold. But what I want to share with you is that most money managers trade around a position in a portfolio. For instance, if they say, hey, listen, I'm going to use SPY as a hedge and I'm going to buy it here, when it comes into resistance, that is usually old support, that's when the best resistance shows up at old support, they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to take the majority of that position off, and because I believe I have value down here, the next time I come into support, I'm going to buy it again, and because I did not break out over my resistance, when I come there, I'm going to sell it again. So you actually make the X from the buy point here to the sell point times 2, because what you're doing is trading around the position and learning the market rhythms. Now, a lot of us really those of us using technical analysis, we don't normally find very robust strategies in general, because what we're doing is sort of salad bar analysis. And so we take a little bit from here and a little bit from there and a little bit from there, and we put it all together. And sometimes it ends up being a green bean and grape jelly sandwich, which I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat one of those, right? And so many times we'll look at our stuff and we'll go, you know what? I'm only getting about 40% of the time or 50% of the time, and that's no better than a coin toss over the long haul. So you've either got to be extremely good with your risk management or very good at defining support and resistance, or essentially your portfolio moves sideways to down over time. This is what MetaStock and I want to stop from happening in your account. And so here's something super simple about how the stochastic works. What the Stochastic Momentum Index does is measure price, the price of a chart, measured with how much volume is in the chart at that price and how quickly it is moving through that price. So here are some things about the Stochastic Momentum Index that you may or may not know. When you look at a stochastic, it's going to have a range. Now, this term is used, but I don't really like it. The term is overbought or oversold. Now, what I prefer to call them are extreme regions of motion. Now, this is a stochastic. I want to show you the parameters, right? The parameters for the moving average, it's a 15 and it's a time series, okay? And then the parameter for the actual stochastic is 8, 3, 6, okay? And that's what we're looking at tonight. What these will give you are areas of support and resistance. Interestingly, a lot of people don't really know that strong momentum indicators, particularly when they begin to measure at extreme levels, they will tell you support and resistance levels for a trade, okay? And many times people just go overbought, oversold, but what I want you to think about is the following. Relative to trend, the stochastic will give you a region where people are going to be selling and a region where people are going to be buying. They'll also tell you the relative target. Now, what we've done is take the motion of the stochastic and pair it with a very strong and adaptive moving average that will allow you to see where you can take support and resistance in a trade. So let's take a look at it. In October, we'll talk about one of the biggest moves that it's had lately and show you how well it did here. In October, at around this area, it identified support, right? It gave us a buy zone. It said, hey, listen, my formation is bullish, but if I break support, I've got to get out of this trade. That's what the chart tells you. So you have a buy zone. It tells you where support is, so you know where your relative stop is. If you get into the highs and it can't move higher, it tells you it's coming to the end of the trade. There's the stop. Here is a resistance zone that's also showing and a new sell zone. Before the market had a huge sell-off, this clearly defined what the SPY said on the daily chart to do. What it says here is, hey, when you come into a support zone, you take some profit. But as long as it does not break the last support zone, old support becomes new resistance. As long as it doesn't do that, you can stay in the trade short. So it's managing your performance for you. And you know, if it breaks down here and these candles still say red, you can add back to your position with a high level of reliability. And as soon as it comes into the space and starts the support zone, here's what happens. This candlestick goes, or this bar, and then once this candlestick begins, this arrow shows up, this diamond shows up, and then you can take some profit. So the diamond will show up at the beginning of the opening of the next new candlestick. So it gives you a lot of very nice motion that you could have traveled all the way down. Now, here's the next thing. It gaps up and it gives you a buy zone. Now, your support is all the way here. But what you can know is the base of a gap is going to give you a primary support action. We'll show a support action that's very deep, but your buy zone will surely tell you, hey, listen, you're nearby a support zone in general, and that's going to give you the next move into resistance. Here's the beautiful thing. Once your chart starts mapping, it will tell you, hey, listen, there's my old resistance. I saw it there. I'm going to take some profit in the space. And so it'll allow you to say, hey, I'm going to take some profit. Now, notice, if you know it's already there based on the last area of resistance, you can take profit ahead of time. A brand new sell zone opens up. You don't see a stop because the stop goes first and then the sell zone goes after. So here's the beautiful thing. If you say, hey, I see my buy zone, I'm going to take profit whenever I see my resistance area, and I'm going to make sure that I have taken some profit, so when it does start coming down into, take a look at this, it's really very beautiful, old support zone sitting right there. You can get out of this trade ahead of time, particularly if you see it moving underneath this particular moving average. Everything works together, folks. The reason that this trading strategy is so tremendously robust is because what it does is combine mechanics. It combines a very strong moving average. It combines price action. It combines support and resistance. It combines momentum, and it combines overall strength in a chart that tells you what to do. And again, we had a sell zone. It came right down here and then started to pop. Anytime you see a green diamond and you're short, you need to take some profit, particularly if it's sitting over your moving average and it's starting to hold that area. Now, the question is, what are we seeing right now? We have a brand new area that is giving us a sell zone, and it's certainly, look at what happened. The sell zone is here. It bounced right back into the area. We would know that this line here, this is what I would recommend you doing. When you see the diamonds show up, draw these lines and leave them on your chart. They are going to define major areas of support and resistance that big money will come in and move into before moving to where they're going. And if you look at this and you go, okay, this number is, let's see what this price action tells us, 274.31, right? If we have a sell zone here, at the open of this candlestick, this sell zone actually appears during the formation of this candlestick. So it's not like you have to wait on it. It comes. If you see it and you can see that you open here and close here and it gives you a sell zone, it is ideal because that actually is a bullish candlestick. You're going to think to yourself, oh my goodness, that's a bullish candlestick. How can that be a sell zone? But the very next day, here's the open and there's the close. And the open of the following day drifts all the way down to where? The last known support area. You start taking it here. So if you were in this trade short, what you would be right now is still short, but you would not be short full sized. You'd be short partially. So a lot of us are thinking to ourselves, oh my gosh, what is this market doing? You can look at this and go, you know what? I don't want to lose any money. I've already taken some profit. You can move your stop to break even right there, or maybe even just a little bit above break even, just in case it jockeys around. And if the chart breaks down, you're in good shape. Notice these are upward candlesticks in general. This one is not, right? And actually these two are not, sorry, from the day space, but they gap up and then fade and gap up and then fade. So they're still making higher lows. The higher lows and higher highs are moving under less volume. So chances are we're going to come into this space. You see where the last stop is for the old sell zone. So moving your stop way down here is not going to be a bad idea at all. And it allows you to move through the next space. So if you are looking at these charts and you're saying to yourself, oh my, let's see what's going on here. Okay, here we are. And you're saying to yourself, gosh, you know, I would like a swing trade that's going to hold. What can I do to do that? Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about the notion of multiple time frames and how you can use those in MetaStock. When you look at your, this is interesting. Why did this do this? Okay, so when you look at your SMI over here, you can see it's sitting in a neutral zone. And this is what I was talking to you about. When your SMI sits up here in this space above 50, it could be above 40, you know. My thought is this is such an arbitrary number that you can actually make this, you know, 30. As soon as it's above that area, it's going to tell you, hey, listen, I have generally bullish motion. And you can look at it and go, wow, look at that. This is generally bullish motion. I have pullbacks, but all those pullbacks come into support and they bounce. So when you see your stochastic momentum index moving up and in this kind of territory, it tells you that your pullbacks, even though they seem dastardly, are going to come into support areas that big money is interested in looking at. And so once it stays up here, even if it's flat, even if it starts moving, you know that what it's doing is holding bullish action. When your SMI crosses down under your moving average, you want to start looking for where support is going to give way. And when it starts giving way, you want to make sure that the bounces don't give you brand new highs. So not only do you have to break not going higher, which we can see here, it stops not going higher, but it's also got to break those lows. So two things have to happen. And what our system does is do that for you. It measures that space so you don't have to, and then says, hey, listen, as soon as you get into the next space, you know what's going on. And the beautiful thing about this is that as long as you're looking at things from a big picture perspective, you are going to be in very good shape to take trades. So now a lot of people might be confused and they might say, my gosh, I don't understand what the market's doing right now. How does this system tell me what the market is doing? Very interestingly, it does the following. Do you see how my slope is straight down on my weekly chart, but it's jagged on my daily chart? What this weekly chart is telling me is that in general, all of my bounces are still selling off. I have come through a formation where here's my old resistance. We're going to go right where it's telling us on the weekly chart, and we're just going to fill this in the same way, right? That's general support. Support and resistance actually are almost the same there. And so this level up here becomes very, very big deal. Look at what's happening. It breaches the level, but it can't hold. What's happening to price if markets breach a level, but they can't hold? Who's up here? Well, it turns out that sellers are up here because they're the only ones who can make price go down. Buyers can't make price go down because they're buying. The second they start selling, they can push price action down unless there are more buyers floating around. So look at what happens. If I look at a weekly trigger point and it says buy here, that's 3 weeks ago. Notice these occur, the diamonds form after the candlestick is made, but these triggers form during this candlestick motion. So notice, we've got this buy zone right here, right? So whether we get it here or up here, notice what the chart does is gap into resistance. If I already have resistance defined in the past, that was when we gapped up on the trade news. This system says, hey, listen, my prior resistance says you're going to sell. Absolutely. It tells us, if you've got these lines noted, it tells us to get out of that trade. Now, what this tells us is, hey, I'm going to trigger my stop if it loses my buy area and fades. But see, if we're reading the chart from a holistic perspective, meaning we look at everything it's got to give us, instead of just looking for stops and buys and sells, we put a little bit of effort into understanding the mechanics of everything this shows you. It told you, listen, that big bounce up, you need to take your profit right here in the space because this chart is going to fade. Now, what's happened is we've come in here, and as the week goes, right, we're in the middle of the week, we are now looking at the open of the last time we had a chart trigger along. So what's our storyboard? This says that it's a stop because it lost the level. What we want to see, we have to wait. What do we want to see? We want to see our chart give us either frontline resistance or it begins to hold our old support zone. What do we have to do? We have to get right back above here, and it's going to allow us to trigger another long if it happens. But here's the thing. If you looked at this trade on 11:30 and you went here and you saw, all right, I can go to my daily, and this is already bullish in this space, but I had a sell zone that gave me some support action, I know that this chart is telling me I'm going to run right into resistance. So if you go to here and you want to look on the daily chart to say, hey, Where is this telling me I need to take profit? It's right here on that date. Right here in the space, it tells us I've got old resistance. I've got to take some profit. I am actually going to see my markers go up. All right, so here are the parameters for the stochastic. I do not use a standard stochastic space. So here it is again for you. Oops. The stochastic, oops, is 8, 3, and 6. And I'm using a 15 and a time series. I like time series moving averages. I think they work very nicely. You can use whatever it is that you want to in the space. Frankly, it's about learning to read your signals, right? And what the system does is read the signals for you, but it also wants to know that you're paying attention to what those signals are saying. If you like, listen, there's nothing fancy about moving averages. Moving averages work because other people use them. So what you have to look at when you choose a moving average, you have to go, what do I want it to tell me? All I want a moving average to tell me is relative trend. And that's what you need to do from that space. It gives you relative trend. All right. So what I like about everything that this system builds is a method that allows you to look across the board and say, wait a second, not only do I know where my buy zones and sell zones are, but I actually know ahead of time when those buy zones and sell zones are going to show up. See, this stochastic by itself is not going to tell you that. It's part of the mechanic, the internal logic of this system shares that information with you, right? So you're going to have something that says, oh, wait, here comes support. And then right after that, you're going to see a buy zone. You're going to see something that says, here comes resistance. And right after that, you're going to see a sell zone. So what the chart does for you is give you a heads up as to what's coming, and you can't get that just using your stochastic and just using your moving average. It's just not possible. There's too much additional internal logic required to do that. And by the same token, if you're in a space that's a sell zone and you come into your big support regions, a la old support, old support is going to be new support, particularly if you have retraced your entire motion. Again, another example of why markets tend to move 70% of the time in sideways formations. This is essentially sideways on the year. And so it's coming back into the space. You have it. If you see a support zone right here, then you are either going to see something that tells you to get out, which would be a stop, a red stop you would see off of that space, and then you would see a buy zone. Now, the reason this is covered up is because right under it is the sell zone, but you knew ahead of time that support was sitting there, and so it gives you that heads up. How great is it to have a system that says, hey, that diamond just showed up, so we've got a sea change coming. I need to watch out. Absolutely, 100%, you've got a sea change coming up right here. It's right here. You sit, there's your buy zone. It comes into a space and stops out because of this motion back, but as long as you hold that old resistance that becomes new support, you can re-engage. What does that resistance tell you? It's going to come back to support. So where you stopped out the first time, you can head right back in again and move forward. The chart has a magnificent ability. Actually, this stop belonged to a reversal event back here, excuse me, right around there. So because red stops go with sell zones and buy zones will pop up in that same sort of region. So here's my thought. My thought is everybody likes going a certain way in the chart. You either like to be long or you like to be short. That's just the way we are. So why not choose a direction and then watch for the diamonds that say, hey, listen, I'm going to be in great shape if I move here. And if I go to a smaller time frame, it's going to tell me what's happening in the quick places that will allow me to strategize much better. For instance, here's a sell zone, okay, on the daily chart. Let's use this one here and let's go to the 4-hour. Now what the 4-hour is going to do, let's check the date. This sell zone is on the 6th of December. This 4-hour zone, let's see what this gives us. This gives us the sell zone 2 days earlier. So what do you know is coming? If you're looking at a daily chart and you see a diamond showing up, or you see the chart slam into the levels of resistance in the past, you can telegraph right down to the 4-hour and it'll say, you know what? You've got yourself a sell zone, and that sell zone is going to take you back into your old support zone. And again, you can see it, that deep support area that begins to hold here. It tells us that we can buy. Look at where this angle is. It tells us right here, I have old support, new resistance. It tells us exactly where we need to get out of this trade. Exactly where we need to get out of this trade if we want to move in short action event and participate to the best of our ability, right? So we know the buy zone kicks in. We know that support is deep here. If we say, hey, listen, I know my support is there. I'm going to wait for it. But if you see on your daily chart, the price action is down, and on your 4-hour chart, price action is up, these guys are going to win. These guys are going to win. All right. The longer time frame always wins if support gets broken. So as long as we hold it, we're in really good shape. What this allows you is the opportunity to move across time frames and see how things look in general if you want the chart to give you a longer term formation event. You're going to be able to see things really from the big picture to say, all right, I know what's going on. Now, I just mentioned to you that all the bounces are very likely to be sold off in our current condition. And here, that's exactly what we've seen. We've got a sell zone showing up here, but our region for the stop is fairly high, right? There's our support. Our old support zone is going to be up here on the monthly chart, and we're already way down here. So if we have a bounce, we know we've got the opportunity to engage in short action. So what I wanted to share with you is the flexibility of the system, the strength of the system. There's a lot of thought put into this mechanic. There's a lot of background logic sitting here between our candlesticks and our candlestick motion. And what you can do is harness the power of essentially a decade and a half of my study and really some very intensively dedicated coding work to put some logic in the back end here that gives you a huge picture that tells you exactly what the market is doing. It tells you when the market's going to be choppy, and that's this. If you take a look at this picture and you are looking at something that says, all right, I moved from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support, obviously I'm choppy. I need to be very careful about trading in the middle. It's also a great place to position option trades if you're sitting in these tight formations and you want short cycle events that are maybe a week to 8 or 9 days long, right? But the market is not doing anything in terms of trend right now. And you can see that because all the candlesticks are congested in a space in general. All right. So, Jeff, what I'd like for you to do maybe is take over and show us a couple of really great things about MetaStock itself. And, let's
Hello.
go. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Do you want to handle a couple questions first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
We had a question, and I think I was taking a little bathroom break. But what were the exact parameters for the
I
Stochastic
actually,
Momentum
yeah,
Index?
I gave that to them. It is 8, 6, and 8, 3, and 6. So let me open this up again. This is the one that I was showing everyone. Um, yeah, manual dexterity, not my strength. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, 8, 3, and 6.
Okay,
And
perfect.
15 is what the time series is here, showing the space, right? And what I was doing was comparing a daily momentum indicator versus a weekly momentum indicator, talking about, what price action is telling us in the space. So yeah.
Cool. Jay says, do you think Monday's low is major support?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question with the mechanics. Okay, so if I go to a monthly chart and I take a look at my formations here with my strategy, it is clear that we have a support zone. It is clear that we have a support zone. The question is, how strong is that support? And so my answer is the following. This area above is the really important level, and it's been broken. That number is 269. If you want to look at the SPX, if you want to look at the futures, whatever you want to look at. But this is a very big support area, and it's been broken, and it has not recovered yet. So until it recovers that 269 area, I cannot say that this is a support that will hold. Frankly, the formation does not look attractive to me. And because I trust my system, it is telling me, hey, listen, you are going down to test support. So it's actually given me my frontline target, which was this area, this 269.27 area, and it's fallen below it to the next area. And then after that, I don't get resistance until down here. So if it doesn't get past 269, this is not going to be the low. We're going to stair step down all the way down until it starts recovering. That's what we've got going on. If I look at the momentum indicator, if I look at the overall motion of what my expert advisor is saying here in the properties event, It's bearish. And so my bounces are going to be sell zones. I cannot look at picking a bottom here unless I am doing it in the intraday motion of the chart. So that is my answer right there.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Good answer. Okay. James asked a question that I'm just saying, how has the system performed historically? And
Okay, so what you can do actually is I use this mechanic specifically to do trades both intraday and swing on my website. And so you can go to thetradingbook.com and you can go to the blog, or in the search field, type the word performance, and you're going to see the performance intraday motion and overall. All you can do is just scroll down a giant list. I try to be extremely transparent about my work and my trades, and I've been using this mechanic for, I don't know, a decade, right? And so I've got tons of performance action. Every single day, I use this mechanic to trade in and out of the futures market, and it is extremely reliable. Extremely reliable. Graphing the SMI on TOS doesn't provide the same waves. That's because this is MetaStock, and MetaStock is I'm going to say it, it's a superior platform. And it allows the charts to do much more mechanically. You're not going to be able to replicate this particular system and rhythm on Thinkorswim using these parameters. Show me how to set up. Does that mean?
I'm going to show that. So he wants to know how you've got one chart on one side and one on the other, and I can show him that.
Here's something super simple. It's right here. Do you see this?
Or you can show it.
Yeah, right there. It's sitting.
All you do is open the two charts up that you want at the same time. So in this case, she's got the S&P 500 and the in a daily and a monthly format, and you just click that button. It's super easy. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I do want to show a little bit about kind of the work that we put into this. I find it great job, Ann-Marie, too.
Thank you so much.
Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show a little bit of this product because we worked pretty hard on it, and I'm very, very proud of the work you, me, and then William did to kind of help make this a product that actually works well and kind of emulated your signals. It's very interesting. I went out on kind of some unexpected leave a little bit earlier and in the year, and I came back and the product was just looking beautifully. You and William did a really good job of wrapping up the concepts we've been working on all year and making it into a really, really cool product. So good work on that.
Very much.
You should be able to see my screen. I'm just trying to make sure that it's the right screen and not an unexpanded PowerPoint. So Raj, I'm gonna actually kind of show you that again. I've already got, like, let's say IBM open right here, right? So, and this right here, if you look in the corner, is a daily chart. If I was to actually open up IBM again on a weekly basis, I just click on, I just go ahead and open up the chart the way you normally would in MetaStock. So I had to click on the chart tab. I'll go ahead and click on IBM. And my dyslexia is coming out. We'll go ahead and click on weekly here, and that'll open up the same chart that we're looking at. I'll go ahead and pop this button, and any charts that I've got open are going to go into that dual screen mode. I happen to have 3 open. So it's really that easy. That's all you really need to do. What I want to do is actually kind of just look at a very similar chart to Ann-Marie and just kind of walk through exactly what's included in this particular add-on and how it works and that kind of stuff. So Just pulled up in the chart of the Dow Industrial Average. One of the things that you'll notice initially about the chart is you're going to have that bearish and bullish ribbon that's back on the chart right here. We can scroll out a little bit and kind of see where we got a sell zone right here, right before this very, very big decline in price. And during that time, we hit some support, some resistance, and some new support. Here we had a little bit of a buy zone. Right now we're in a sell zone. And we're in another sell zone. So that's kind of what it's saying to you right there. The diamonds are kind of going to show you exactly where the support and resistance areas are. You can apply those. Those are automatically drawn on the chart. And we call them areas because with support and resistance, it's more of a zone than an exact number. If somebody tells you that support is 262.10 in the chart right now, they're not. It's really more of a region than it is exactly an exact value. So the other thing that we've done that I really like, if you guys have listened to me do some of these things, one of the things that I'm absolutely passionate about MetaStock is the commentary features, because what it allows us to do is it allows us to put Ann-Marie in the room with you and give you some advice in terms of what's going on in the chart. So if we had looked at this Dow chart right here during this sell zone, we can come in here to like a little bit of what we call our commentary window. And initially, when you do that, you'll notice when I open up this commentary window, you'll notice that it's going to put a little arrow on the very far right edge of the screen. And in this particular case, it's telling you the current trend is bearish, where your current region support and resistance are, the state of your current position and what you should do with it, and where your stop should be. Under here, you've got a bit of a checklist that you should go through, and I would recommend that you go through the manual in this as well. Ann-Marie did a really good job of taking and putting together a lot of good write-ups on this, and we put a bunch of that in the commentary, but we put all of it in the manual. If I were to move this arrow around, it's going to look at a different day for us. So if I wanted to look at what we started to say during this initial sell zone, it would tell us, okay, there's a new sell zone on the chart. I'm just going to scroll in on this so you can kind of see what it's saying to us. So a sell zone is defined on the chart as this. It will appear after a red resistance diamond that has isolated resistance. A short re-entry trigger will appear after a red diamond that has isolated resistance. In the recent past, the chart will show either a stop or a support diamond. So it's kind of walking you through what to do, kind of tells you a little bit about what to do with it. And if you do want to take the trade, it kind of gives you a suggested stop value. This updates on a day-by-day basis as well, I believe. So if I change it to a different part of the chart, it hasn't changed yet, but if there's a new support or resistance, it will give you an updated stop. The other thing I like, so obviously that kind of just lays everything out for you. Sets up the chart with your time series moving average. I did a little bit of research because hardly anybody uses the time series moving averages. And it's a moving average that's plotted based on a linear regression. In this case, we're using 12 periods to calculate that linear regression. So it's using some statistics in that moving average. I was able to find some articles that kind of explained it in a bit of detail. The other thing is if I was looking at the Dow, we obviously kind of have a clear resistance area here. One of the things that we can also use this for is to actually find opportunities. So if we wanted to find stuff that had just recently hit a sell zone or recently hit a buy zone, in MetaStock, I have the ability to go through a list of stocks and find exactly which ones are triggering one of these sell zones on either the current day, if you're looking at daily charts, the current hour, if you do a scan against hourly charts, or the current week, or whatever you want. So the way that works, I'm going to go ahead and click on the power console right here. And these are all of our power tools. You have a bit of a scanner right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I'll come down to the target rich trades, the long entry setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very quick list today. So I could scan any list that I want. I could scan any country I want. We power this. If you're not familiar with MetaStock, we power this with Thomson Reuters data, who's now Refinitiv. They just got bought by a bigger company, but we power it with their data. So I can go in here and let's just say we wanted to look at the S&P 500 and we wanted to look for long entry signals. We could select that one. If we wanted to look at short entry signals, we could select this one. We could run them both I'll just run them both. So I'm going to go ahead and run that against the S&P 500, see what comes up in terms of recent long entries or short entries. So we'll go ahead and let that run. You'll notice that it's chunking through the data. I am doing a local exploration with data that I've already downloaded and stored on my hard drive because it runs a little bit faster when you're broadcasting audio, but you can run this on online data as well. And the reason I bring that up, the fact that it's local data, is the data was updated last on Thursday. I usually update it right before the webinars. But I was helping a customer instead, and that's why we started exactly on time today. So that quickly, we were able to look through all 500 stocks. The ones that have a buy signal that's new, according to when I updated the late data last week, is Costco, Masonry Street, and Simon Property Real Estate. So we can go ahead and open up Costco if we want to. I'll just click on open the chart right here. And I'd want to apply the template for Ann-Marie. So it's called Target Rich Trades. I can do that. And then I can go ahead and see that buy signal that appears on the chart. It's going to take a second to load. Here we get a buy zone, and here we have initially an error message, but if I hit refresh on it, it's actually going to load in. The other thing is if you're watching this real time, you're going to get this pop-up alert that's going to tell you a new buy zone came into effect. So it does notify you about that. I'll go ahead and click on OK here. I'll refresh this commentary so that the function comes in, and you'll notice we've got a cautionary buy zone, and it gives us some instructions around that. So that's how it works. Really what it's designed to do is kind of help you find the trades at the right time. And with Ann-Marie's methodology, which I'm very, very happy to have in MetaStock. It's been a labor of love. I think Ann-Marie would agree with that. In addition to that, to also answer your question that you had a little bit earlier about kind of the performance of the signals on it, one of the things that you have the ability to do in MetaStock is actually test with this methodology. So it doesn't kind of go in and do the same level of scrutiny that we'd recommend, like looking at where the support is and that kind of stuff. But it will take the buy and sell signals off the chart, and you can actually go in and say, okay, if I just take the buy and sell signals, what stocks does this work best on? How well does it work, et cetera, et cetera. That's all built into it. So you can do a lot of that research, James, right on your own. So in essence, that's the Target Rich Trades. That's what we've kind of put together. We just barely released it maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So let me kind of just talk to you a little bit more here. Here's the box art we put together for it. Just to kind of sum up what it offers, real-time signals. It'll give you the buy, the sell, the exit. It'll give you the trend indication, the identification in real time of where that support and resistance is. It's going to give you that commentary breakdown where it kind of shows you what to do, gives you that full market scanning and the system testing. And again, it has that comprehensive user's manual. So what we are going to do as part of the webinar special today is normally it's a one-time cost of $4.99. Here at the webinar, what we're going to do is we're going to offer that to you with a money-back guarantee, 30 days, $3.99 as a one-time cost. You get a free trial to MetaStock. If you don't have a copy of MetaStock, I'll tell you a couple of things about MetaStock right now. MetaStock is a software program. I've been working here for 21 years this year, 22 in March. Not that I'm counting. It's a great place to work. One of the things I love about this company is kind of the atmosphere we have here. In addition, another thing that I like is the representation of the product. MetaStock's been rated #1 in its price category every single year since 1995, 25 years in a row. So whatever year that is, I wasn't sure on the number of years, on the actual date of the years, but it's 25 years in a row this year. So you'll get free access to that. You can find out why it's been rated #1 so long. The other thing that we're going to do is Ann-Marie and I are going to sit down tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to record a class. Ann-Marie is going to do a part where she kind of walks through some trade examples and some trade ideas. I'm going to sit down and kind of walk through step by step exactly how to open up charts and look at the commentary and run the explorations. And it's very easy. It won't even take me 30 minutes to do that. But what we end up doing is we get a lot of new customers in MetaStock because maybe you're interested in Ann-Marie, but you've never heard of MetaStock. Or maybe you're using MetaStock, but you haven't seen all of the YouTube videos that we've done with Ann-Marie. What we want to do is provide some really good training. So tomorrow we're going to do a boot camp. We're going to record it. We're going to put it up on the site with the My Download section, but it's a customer-only class. And so if you can't go to it, we'll be doing it live. We'll be answering questions live. If you can't go to it, we will put it up on the My Download section of the website, and it'll be available to you as a customer. But it'll be an opportunity for you to come in and join live on that. So to take advantage of this offer, you can visit metastock.com/AnnMarieA, or you can chat online with a sales rep at metastock.com/saleschat. So there you go. All right. With that being said, that looks like the end of the questions. I want to thank you guys for all coming today. And Ann-Marie, thanks for your time and all the work you've put into this.
Looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. We've actually had quite a number of people that have already signed up and will be at the bootcamp class, hopefully tomorrow. So give it a go. And I hope you like it as much as I do. And I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Thanks so much, everybody. Good night.
Thanks, Ann.